Hello, everybody. I hope you're well on this Friday afternoon. My name's James, and for the benefit of those listening on the audio, you are listening to my regular Friday afternoon stream on YouTube, Ask James, where I welcome questions from the YouTube community to discuss anything football related. Before I start, big news from the Premier League, and I suspect someone's going to ask it, so I'll get to it straight away in the last hour or so. That the TV games that have been announced in October, I'm expecting a little bit more. I can see Owen Kinnear's just put in the chat, $14.95 a game, rant time. Yeah, I'll get onto that. So basically, it looks like, and it's unconfirmed in terms of timings yet, that the games that are at 3 o'clock in game week 5 and game week 6, as we stand, are going to stay at 3 o'clock, which means we're not going to have all this being able to access 10 games every week, watch them all, etc., etc. So I've got mixed emotions on this. To be honest, my overriding feeling is always the same. Let me watch my team. It does not matter how. It does not matter the cost. Give me access. What I couldn't bear in the build-up to game week 1, and it didn't matter so much for myself because my team was already scheduled to be live on the telly on a Sunday. I'm a Spurs fan, if anybody doesn't quite know that. Is the idea, can I see my team? That's all that worries me. And I'm probably a rare case in the sense that I will pay the money without hesitation. And the reason I will pay the money without hesitation is because I do not want to rely on a dodgy stream to watch my game. Now, I know there's websites out there where if my team's not playing at 3 o'clock, do you know what? I'm probably going to access the game at 3 o'clock. $14.95. I'm going to be a rare case here. I think it's reasonable, guys. I think they could have asked for more. Now, a lot of people are not going to pay the money, and you're still going to be able to find the games on Tinterweb, dodgy streams, etc. very, very easily. My take is I would rather watch my team in HD on the television. And so when Tottenham are not one of the live games, genuinely, I will be giving them my £14.95. No problem, no hesitation whatsoever. Would I pay £14.95 for 2 other teams in the Premier League? No, I'd look for a dodgy stream or not bother. But for my own team, I can't do all that shit. I've done it before. I've done it in the friendlies in the summer, even through Tottenham's website. It's crap. Quality is good. Don't get me wrong. It's not what I want it to be. I can't be sitting there at a computer waiting for my team to score and I just got to sit there and go, yeah, happy clapping and stuff. I can't be that guy. So I will pay the $14.95 when Tottenham aren't one of their selected games. And do you know what? For myself, it's probably not going to be as bad as it is for others. Genuinely, some supporters are going to have to pay out more than others. So Manchester United fans are probably not going to have to pay out as much as Burnley fans. Burnley fans are probably going to be selected for TV. Let's say this went for the whole season. Burnley will probably be selected for TV maybe 10 times. Manchester United will be selected for TV about 25 times. So actually, it's the smaller clubs in the Premier League that will have to pay out more. However, if I had to pay $14.95, let's call it £15 for every game this season, it's going to cost me, what's that? 570 quid. My season ticket at Spurs is more than double that. It will cost me more than £570 in a season before I even enter the ground at Tottenham, i.e. travel, food, etc. So am I happy to pay 15 quid to watch my team and guarantee that I can see it in good quality, etc.? Yeah, I'm going to pay it. I suspect that my opinion on that is probably not shared by many, and I do understand and I do sympathize with that, with the cost. Plus everybody's just got used to, oh well, I've just been able to access every game for whatever my normal package is. I get that. This is a short-term measure. I also think if we could remove the idea for the moment that fans aren't there, this should have been happening a long time ago, where 3 o'clock games should be accessible. Now, for a lot of you who are obviously here on YouTube now and perhaps listening to the audio, maybe you know how to access games on the internet very easily. The average football fan does not. Genuinely, they just want to watch their team. A lot of people, particularly the older generation, don't want to be signing up to dodgy things on the internet, etc. Just want to watch their team and will pay the money. So people got the choice. Genuinely, it's choice. You either pay the $14.95 to watch your team, or you try and find a dodgy stream. There's plenty of people I know in this chat now who don't have subscription to Sky, don't have subscription to BT Sport, and still watch the majority of the games because they'll get them illegally on streams. We know that. We don't have to pretend that that doesn't happen. Sky know it happens. BT know it happens. The Premier League knows it happens. They're working hard to try and shut it down. My argument for the paying for 3 o'clock games has always been, well, okay, yeah, let's protect the 3 o'clock attendances in the Championship and lower levels. Great. I'll charge me the money. The one I've always argued genuinely for Tottenham away game, if it was £30, I'd pay £30. That's the price of my ticket to go to the away game. So I've now got to pay £30 to sit in my living room, and I don't have to do the travel costs, which, depending on where it is in the country, will cost me an absolute fortune on trains. So £14.95. Personally, I'm okay with it, guys. I suspect I'm probably rare in that case. Oliver Lester's in, says, nice. Hello, Oliver. Andrew Martin, good afternoon, James. Hope you're well. Do you think Manchester United would be better off to drop Pogba and let his contract expire? Boy, that's big. I don't know about letting his contract expire. I don't know how long he's got left to go on it, to be honest, Andy. Would they be better off dropping him at the moment? Depends how you look on it, right? Because quality-wise, technical, etc., when he's on the ball, brilliant. I stressed after the Brighton game that I was very concerned about Manchester United in midfield and the lack of legs amongst that team. I think they're in a bad place for whatever reason, where individually Matic, Pogba, Fernandes, all good players, but they literally have no energy in that midfield. And it's all right screaming at the back four and going, oh, the back four shit. Yes, the back four shit. It doesn't help when the midfield can't give him protection at the moment. Matic needs to go and basically hold hands with him, which is what he did in the restart period. Sit just in front of him, get back to that. And yeah, I do think they'd be better off playing McTominay or Fred at the moment, or Van der Beek if he can play that deeper role, just to give him a little bit more energy at the moment, because they're struggling. They're really struggling for energy. I don't know why that is, because when we restarted in the restart period, the majority of us went, fucking hell, got to get some Man United players in my FPL team. Look how good they look. And we all did, right? Martial, Fernandes, Rashford, Greenwood, all decent options. Even, it's hard to forget now, or hard to remember, sorry, but like quite a while, the argument was, well, Maguire or Wan-Bissaka, I might need one of these guys defensively as well. So now you wouldn't buy any of them before that Newcastle fixture. I understand Cavani's unavailable for the Newcastle game, but should be available afterwards. Martial's obviously, I presume it's a 3-game suspension. It will be 3 league games that he's suspended for. He can obviously participate in the Champions League games between game weeks 5 and game week 7. They need energy in that midfield, or they need to change the system. Something's not right. I don't know why it's not right. I feel like what's happening on that pitch at the moment isn't necessarily all on the manager. But I repeat what I've said several times. They will not get to where they want to be with him in charge, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's my opinion. But United fans keep telling me the problems above that. Eeks from Woodward, etc. And it's all filtering down, and they've got a big problem at that club at the moment. Manchester United can still finish top 4 this year. But it's not acceptable for Manchester United fans. They want much more than that. They want to get close to City and Liverpool this year. On what we've seen so far, unfortunately, the answer is you've got no chance. I always thought in pre-season that United and Chelsea couldn't win the league this year. I still think there's only 2 teams that can win it. I think Everton's as likely to win the Premier League as United or Chelsea at the moment, genuinely. It will still be Liverpool or City again at the end when it comes to it. On Pogba specifically, it's up to him. All right, because if Paul Pogba wants to go and be the Paul Pogba we saw for France in the World Cup in 2018, then any team in the world would take him. It's up to Paul Pogba. For some reason, something's not right with him at the moment, but he's not the only one, in fairness. Paul H is in, says hello. Vish, DCL captain thoughts. Was in captain him against Liverpool. If you wish, mate, it wouldn't be a consideration for me. Colin Con says, hi, James, on Wildcard, took me out of going crap at the back. Braithwaite, who's now 3.9, along with Leeds' Barry Douglas. Just so I remember, Barry Douglas might go further, right? Because he's still owned by 9%. So Braithwaite, Masuaku, Webster, Cole Walker-Peters and Konsa then go back into Liverpool game week 10 with their fixture turn and Alisson back. Can it work all-out attack? Of course it can work all-out attack. I think you've already answered your question there, though. You're already thinking about getting the Liverpool guys back, aren't you? My take on it is this. Trent and Robertson, they're in for the attacking returns. The clean sheets are the bonus. It's always the way I judge it. They will get clean sheets. Alisson is out for, we believe, 4 to 6 weeks. Now, 4 to 6 weeks from the time that he missed the Aston Villa game, he might even be back for game week 8, in which case he's missing Everton away, Sheffield United at home, and West Ham at home. I'm not really sure that I can be asked to fuck around with it personally. I know that for me, on a longer term strategy of not wildcarding until December, January, that it will cost me 2 transfers. Because as soon as I sell Trent or Robertson, it's just a matter of time before I want one of them back. So I'll be sticking with it personally. If anybody wants to go that way at the moment with the amount of goals that are being scored, etc., I can't put you off. I would be surprised if at some point, and it might not be for 2 months, that the goals calm down dramatically, would be my opinion. It will level out. I'm absolutely certain of it. This average of more than a goal per game average on top of what is normal is not sustainable in the Premier League, in my opinion. It will come down and defensive assets will come back onto our radar. But I if you're on wildcard at the moment, you're not going to be alone, Colin. A lot of people are going to go down that route. Paul says, was you surprised to see the Sky Fantasy Football Hub boys all thinking about going without VVD on overhaul? No, not particularly. I can understand that. Robertson is potentially going to offer him good competition in that game at the moment, so it doesn't overly surprise me, to be very honest with you, at the moment. And they're all very experienced Sky players. They're more experienced than myself, to be honest. So I certainly wouldn't have any qualms with if that's how they want to play the game. It's not my position to argue. It's still very new to me, but yeah, Van Dijk will be with me. I don't have major concerns on it. Paul H saying 14.95 is okay for your own team, better than nothing. Yeah, that's it. Genuinely, if City and Liverpool were playing each other, I wouldn't pay 14.95 for it. I would try and find a dodgy stream for it. My own team, nah, it's more important. I'll pay the money. Jack Shepherd, couldn't agree more. Price is reasonable compared to wrestling, boxing, etc. It's fine. Well, that's it, isn't it? Right. So you pay, was it $19.95 for boxing, and the chances are, unless you're really into your boxing, I'll give you an example. So occasionally I've paid for the boxing, normally to watch, say, Anthony Joshua, for example. That would be probably the only person I'd pay for at the moment if it's a big enough fight. I don't really care about the other fights. So I'm paying $19.95 for something that might be over in 6 minutes. At least you know you get 90 minutes of football, $14.95. I've heard worse, genuinely. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's the building of the cost that upsets people. It's like, oh, I'm paying for Sky, I'm paying for BT, I've got to pay this as well. Okay, it's probably going to cost me an extra £30 a month. Fuck it. It is what it is. How much money am I saving on my season ticket this year? Fuck, I've got more money than I've ever had. Andy Martin says, we'll not pay £15 for pay-per-view or watch an illegal stream. I'm happy for radio, text updates, and extended highlights later. Dread FPL says, thing is, though, these games were being shown previously for free, right? Yeah, well, it's inevitable that Sky, BT, and the clubs, unfortunately, and in a jar, they need to make their money up somewhere. And I presume if these games are going on pay-per-view, I presume that the 2 clubs involved will get a chunk of whatever the money is that's incoming. It's life, whether we like it or not. It's the way it's going to go. I do get the idea of, oh, okay, it was okay that I've just watched all 10 games for free. But I think when that was put in place, the Premier League were quite hopeful that fans were going to go back into stadiums for game week 4 that's gone, which is why we didn't get game week 4 announcements till quite late, because we were still hoping Premier League crowds were going to go back in. I mean, probably in a position now where 5, 6, 7 isn't going to happen for Premier League clubs. So what we got? You have 3 game weeks this month. That's probably what we're going to find out game week 7, probably today. And it's constantly going to be under review. The fact the clubs don't want this pay-per-view thing particularly, right? My argument always against has been, how can it be right that people on the other side of the world are watching their clubs and I'm here a mile and a half from the stadium and I can't watch my team? That can't be right. It's not saying that these people overseas don't have the right either. Of course they do. I just want the same privilege. I'm in the fucking country of my team's playing. I want the same privilege to be able to watch my team. Am I happy to be paying the £15? No. Will I pay it? Yes. Do I think it's reasonable? I think it's okay. I think, to be honest, my point is, if it was £30, I'd still pay the fucking £30. So the $14.95 doesn't bother me. And as I said previously, I think the way it's going, pay-per-view football is way forward. I really, really do. Optimus says, hey, boss, hope all okay. Your opinion about the random results from game weeks 1 to 4. Also make a prediction for the top 6 teams. Thanks. Well, game weeks 2 to 4, extremely random. Prediction for top 6 teams now. The way it's going, Manchester United won't be in it. Quite possibly. City and Liverpool will be 1 or 2 in one order or the other. I still think Liverpool will win it. I think Arsenal will really put themselves in contention. They're defending okay. They're missing creativity at the moment. If they lost Aubameyang to injury, it would be monumental. But he doesn't tend to get injured. Spurs are now going to be in contention because of the firepower of the front three, and the shape of the team is so much better now. Everton have had an amazing start, have to come into consideration. And Chelsea, the team hasn't clicked yet. It's not even played together, in fairness. So I think, yes, Everton are capable of finishing above Manchester United. It wouldn't surprise me we get to the end and it's normal orders restored and it's the same big 6, right? Because it's 4 games gone of 38 with just over 10% of the season gone. Long way to go. FPL Platypus says, hi, James. Thoughts on Reguilon as an FPL option? Is he first choice now? Yes, he's definitely going to be first choice left back. He's a major upgrade on Ben Davis. Ben's done great for us, but he's a very different fullback. The way we want to attack now with the 2 sitting midfield players, fullbacks go together. There will be imbalances at time, but generally he wants to go forward. He has incredible recovery pace. Do I think he's a good option? I think he's reasonable, but don't forget, so far Tottenham haven't kept any clean sheets as yet. There might be some in the upcoming games, but then you're going to get to game week 9 and you're going to look ahead and you're going to go, fucking hell, there's not going to be many here. So, yes, he could prove a good option. I'll be very honest. If I had to buy a Tottenham defender now, it would be him. Although if you said to me that Serge Aurier would play every week at 5.2, I'd prefer that. But Tottenham defence is not on my radar at the moment, I'll be very honest. Shrikant, sorry if I butchered that, mate. He's not going without no Everton players is scary. I don't get scared by any of these things. I don't have any Everton players now, and I won't have any Everton players for game week 5. Patrons, I've got differential show will go out for you as soon as this stream is finished. We talk about Everton ownership quite a lot on that, and the idea that I'm not going to be scared to get Calvert-Lewin if I believe it's the right thing to do. Because sometimes you can, if you haven't got him, you can get stubborn about it. Think, I haven't bought him; it's too late now. It might be a move that needs to become a shield move at some point. Scared? Nah, listen. If the games continue the way they're going, what are you going to do? You're going to cover all these players. I mean, it's just fucking some unbelievable scorelines coming up. So there's loads. I can say, I've got no Villa players. They've got a good run. They've got Leicester coming up next and then a good run after that. Should I be scared of no Villa players? Should I be scared of not having Harry Kane? Should I be scared of not having Mohamed Salah? Can't have everyone, can you? So, nah. Alex Galbraith says, good afternoon. Hope life is treating you well. Nobody likes the word essential. Boom, red card in FPL. But if you had unlimited budget and had to pick 3 players, who would you go with? Kevin De Bruyne, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Andrew Robertson. No, if you're saying unlimited budget and there's no concerns whatsoever, right now it would still be De Bruyne. I'd probably be De Bruyne, Salah, Sterling. Probably. FPL telling Josh, afternoon, James, thoughts on the England performance last night. Quite enjoyed watching it, and some players' great performances. Nice to see us having depth and options. So I recorded the game, as I've done with a lot of evening games so far this season. Watched it after the little one went down, and I'll be honest, I nearly turned it off after 20 minutes because it was fucking horrendous. Basically, if you want a good example of how a 3-4-3 or variations of it can be done, watch England in the second half. If you want to see how it's done very, very badly, watch England in the first half. It's horrendous, that first half performance. Literally no connection between defence, midfield and forward. So deep. Simply just by positioning players higher up the pitch, we looked a far better side second half. Worth saying, Wales had so many players missing. It really was it's not even a glorified friendly. It was what it was, just a fucking friendly in an empty stadium. So nothing to take on board with that. I was fucking annoyed with Danny Ings playing on like right wing in the first hour. I don't know what that's all about. Just play Harvey Barnes or something, or Mason Mount. It makes no sense to me. Trying to kill the kid. So I was pleased that he got a brilliant goal once he went centrally. Calvert-Lewin took his goal. Great. You knew when it came over, never going to miss. So clinical now. I love the fact that he buried it. He made sure the keeper had no chance by heading it down. Nothing really you can read on that. I don't think anybody came out of that defensively in a better place, other than, oddly enough, maybe Tyrone Mings, because he offers balance in a back three if he's going to play left side, centre half. Saka and Trippier are not long-term options at wing back. Michael Keane, okay. Connor Cody should play if we're going to play that system. I don't know why we've gone back to it. One of the things I thought about during the game last night, I wondered if he's thinking, I'm going to have 6-7 months of playing this system. So perhaps the November internationals as well. And then when we have the internationals in like March, April next year, it will go back to a back four. So the squad is generally at some point that's probably got used to playing in both systems. I wonder if that's what's in his thoughts at the moment, because I just feel the makeup of what we've got at the moment is so much better suited to a back four at the moment. I strongly believe that. And I'm not quite sure the reasoning of going back to this, other than he's concerned against strong opposition that we're going to have so little of the ball, and therefore you can counter punch really cleverly if you've got a flat back five like Leicester did at Manchester City once they sussed it out. But I don't. England shouldn't be playing back fives in this sort of game. Certainly shouldn't be like it was in the first half, where it really was a flat five. At least in the second half, it looked like a back three rather than a back five. So, nothing overly impressed with. Good challenge on Sunday, because obviously Belgium are extremely good side. Okay, season ticket holders paying £15 a game still is mental, but they'll know the season ticket holders will pay it. That's spot on, Owen. We will. Eric Fordham says, I've missed FPL Cobbler. Afternoon, mate. Hope all's good. I think I'm with you on paying the money. I've been able to pay tenner for I followed to watch all of our away games so far, with home games free as season ticket holder. That would be an interesting take on it, to pay for the away games and not the home games as a season ticket holder. Yeah, it's possible. The supporters clubs will be all over this, by the way, and they'll try and find resolutions that are going to be more suitable for season ticket holders. It might be that season ticket holders get the access for the home games when it's under review. I think that's a possibility. But at the moment, I'm not paying anything for my season ticket, so I'm not sure I should be treated any differently, actually. Eric Fordham says, hey, James, I'm still on Werner and Adams. Do you think either will take more price drops before game week 5? And with one free transfer, which one would you move on? Thinking Adams to either Maupay or Watkins. You'd want to move on both. The thing with Werner is, if Pulisic comes in the team, plays on the left, and Werner goes for the middle, we're talking about a very different player all of a sudden, potentially. And Southampton's high line. I think I've screamed great things about Che Adams, but you've got to know that around that value, there is some serious potential. I would strongly consider getting rid of both, Eric, to be honest. I mean, Werner to Kane and Adams to anyone around that value seems very reasonable at the moment. I wouldn't put you off taking a hit to get rid of both. Yes, they probably both will see price drops, but don't move early. Genuinely, not for these guys that are on internationals. If you're moving something like Adams to Antonio, who neither are involved in international duty, that's probably okay. I've already bought Heung-min Son this week, so I knew he wasn't going anywhere with South Korea. I absolutely would not buy Harry Kane early when he's still got 2 England games to go. So if you're moving something like Adams to Antonio, when you're not involved in international duty, you're limiting the risk somewhat. I guess Maupay would be another one you can bring into the conversation for that, and Watkins, of course. So that's probably the easier one to move first. If you need to, keep an eye on FPL statistics would be the advice. And if someone's close to going up or close to going down, in that case, I have no problem with you moving early. FPL Badger says, glad we aren't in the Premier League anymore. It's saving me a fortune. But yeah, I'm with you, James. I'd pay for it if I had to. Mark's on Norwich correspondent. Mohammed says, afternoon, James. For those of us who are still holding on to our wildcard, what's the time to play it and benefit the most of it? So, unless I end up in a car crash situation, and a lot of you may think that I already am, game week 16 for me to build for free hit and bench boost between game weeks 18 and 19. I think a lot of people end up playing their second wild card in game week 17. That will probably cancel it out somewhat. So the real advantage is not actually going to come till after. It's going to be on the home stretches where the advantage is for me, where people have kind of blocked in their second wild card to cover the free hit and the bench boost, and then they're stuck. Then they've got 18 game weeks left of the season with no chips to fix it. So it's probably the advantage, genuinely, is probably not for me till like March, April next year. And I just accept that. But that's my strategy. And unless I end up in a position where my squad is absolutely fucked, then that's what I'll be doing. Shamil Galani says, if anyone wants a website to watch the games for free, drop me a message. I think we all know what it is, don't we, Sham? Tia Grace, hi James, your tactical NAS football insight, world class. Oh, cheers, mate. Don't tell Serge, I might get a better job. The best of anyone out there. Why does that not help you with FPL? Does being a football expert analysis not help with FPL? People say I'm good at analysing games. I appreciate the kind of comments. Thank you. Does it make me a better FPL manager? No, of course it doesn't. It should help from the aspect of predicting things. But I'm more about strategy in terms of long-term planning and stuff. I'm probably quite a safe FPL player. So when I need to be aggressive, it doesn't really suit my style. So that doesn't really work well for me. I'm not an FPL expert. If you're tuning into this thinking you're going to get FPL gold from me, you're not. See a lot of people talking about, oh, why would you pay for someone's Patreon at the moment? Like, are they FPL experts? Listen, you sign up to me and Sudge's Patreon, you ain't going to get anything particularly that's going to make you a better FPL player. You will fucking enjoy it every single week you have a lot more. We'll make it fun along the way. Why doesn't it translate to FPL? Maybe one day it will. But it doesn't at the moment. Possibly as well, one thing to say in terms of my analysis of games, it's an analysis, right? It is after the event. So maybe my issue is not in the analysis. It's in the actual predicting what's going to happen in the first original outcome. That's possibly the problem. Because at the end of the day, we make transfers because in essence, we're predicting what's going to happen next. So analysing games isn't going to help me on essentially FPL because I'm analysing something that's already happened. Predicting the future is probably something I struggle more with. I'm bad historically at picking captains. I think it's become well known now. Don't captain whoever I'm going to captain. It's probably the best advice. If you're asking, yes, I probably still will be on Kevin De Bruyne in game week 5. So analysis and hypothesis, if you will, are two different things. Ray Karashi says, hi, James. With Aguero scheduled for a late October return, does he feature in your transfer plans? Definitely not at the moment. Need to see him fit. Hypothetically, I'm thinking to bring him and Saiss in for Robertson and Mitrovic at the end of the month. We'll keep Trent Alexander-Arnold, Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, says Ray. Arif says, hi, James. Simple question. Why are English clubs reluctant to buy or transfer an English player? I know you can get Jack Grealish quality in Ferran Torres, which is more cheaper, but I need another reason. I can't give you one. It's money. And one of the reasons that English players are more expensive than overseas players is because everybody knows that English clubs have got to fill this homegrown quota. So just by that alone, English players as a commodity become more expensive than their overseas counterparts. And that's it. I mean, to be honest, if you're comparing the quality of Ferran Torres and Jack Grealish, I'm not sure you would be, because if they could have bought Jack Grealish for the price of bought Ferran Torres, they probably would have bought Jack Grealish. I should think it's as simple as that. And there isn't a lot more in it than value. Mohammed says, Barkley, faults. Need to see it again, in my opinion. He played like second striker, basically, against Liverpool. I don't know if they'll line up that way again. It might be that they think that Leicester are going to stay with a flat 5, in which case they might want to overload the midfield, in which case he plays a very different position. Could be that if he stays in that position and plays there every week, serious interest, genuinely, because he'll get returns. He'll get returns like probably at his peak at Everton, or at least be capable of it. So very much one to watch at the moment, but I wouldn't buy now. I need to see more. Angus McPhail says, hi, James. Thoughts on the international game still going ahead during the pandemic? Second break in a row, we've had multiple players catching COVID or being ruled out because of it. If you don't mind, Angus, I'm going to hold that question back. And the reason I'm going to hold that question back is it will be part of the people's poll vote that we put out for our podcast on Tuesday. So I'm going to hold off that one. Topics I can tell you will be the idea of B teams in lower league football, wrap up the transfer window, who's had it good, who's had it bad, and exactly that, internationals. So I'm going to hold that back as a potential subject, if that's okay, Angus. If we don't cover it, slide in my DMs or this chat next Friday and we'll cover it in more detail, my friend. Dave Perrins is in. Hello, Dave. Ray Cressy, English players come at a massive premium. Shamil says, do you think it's intentional that Southgate's ignoring talking about how good Grealish is? And if so, why? I think there's probably an undercurrent of trying to motivate him somehow, and he doesn't need to, because for Jack Grealish playing for England, motivation is absolutely enough. I mean, the way you sidestepped that comment last night and started talking about Mason Mount was it was a little bit disrespectful, actually. Strange. I don't know. I want to see Jack Grealish play deeper for England anyway, personally. I think he's good enough. I'd play him deeper. Rob Pick says, I know you said that you just buy and hold, but if you were going to punt on another player between 8 million, 9 million for Sky and then switch to Antonio for match day 8, who would you go for? I need to look at the fixtures in more detail, Rob, is the honest answer, which I haven't really done yet. And I want to be looking up to the end of December, basically. But I just don't think that's worth the transfer, mate. Just start with him. Just start with him. He's shown that he can return in these games. So I really think just start with him. I think it's worth it. I don't think that's worth fucking about with. Harvey Barnes is under serious consideration. Jack Grealish, Ross Barkley. I'm not sure you're actually going to want to get rid of these players once it comes around in game week 8. So I'll just go with him off the bat, Rob. Ali Tour, hi James. Where do you think Bale will play for Spurs? Right wing is where I imagine. I think we're leaning ever closer to 4-2-1-3. That's where we look like we're going to be, which will be read as 4-2-3-1/4-3-3. But I think that's where we're heading, 4-2-1-3. And Bale will play from the right, or on occasion we'll play as the 1, and him and Kane can swap. When Kane drops deep, Bale can go beyond. It will depend a little bit systematically on opposition, but generally speaking, I think he'll play off the right, mate. Suvansh says, played my wild card, got 2 drafts, like both. Deal breaker, Kane or Son? What do you think? Son. Just. The little bit of extra power, being a midfielder, and the money that you save. What can you do with the 1.6 million that you're saving? Other than that, it's extremely close. Do I think Harry Kane will outscore Heung-min Son? Yeah, probably I do. But will he outscore him by the whatever the 1.6 will get you on top as well? I mean, it'd be close. So I would slightly favour Son. It's so close, genuinely so close. And the other thing I would say about it is Harry Kane, I've always screamed uncaptainable quite often at the moment. In some of these fixtures before the next international break, he's going to be captainable. Not so much the West Ham game, by the way, but I think the 3 games afterwards, it could be Harry. But Sonny better for probably the longer term as well. Chris Davin says, hi, James. Any recommendations for a Martial replacement? Yeah, just about anyone you can afford, Chris. If you can get to Harry, then that would be recommendation number 1. Otherwise, have you got Calvert-Lewin? Have you got Ings? Have you got Jimenez? Jimenez is 3 decent games coming up. Leeds away is obviously tough. Palace at home, Newcastle away. Wouldn't expect Wolves to score heavily in any of them, but you could see Jimenez getting 1 in all 3 of them, for example. So I actually think Jimenez is still a good short-term shout. And then these guys at lower, the Maupay's, Antonio's, Watkins, they're all of interest, right? All decent. FPL Ferrell says, afternoon, people. Happy Friday. Hello, pal. Alex says, best sign over the transfer window, in your opinion? It's a very, very easy one, mate. Gareth Bale. He's already lifted us. He's already got Tottenham winning games. He's not even on the pitch yet. Ray says, non-football related, James. Your favourite ever WWE star and why? Mine is The Rock, and his promos were hilarious. It's probably a toss-up between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker for me. One of them 2, I would say. Ali Ship, hi James. If Bale is back against West Ham and looks brilliant, would you be looking to double up with Sonny for 9.5? Maybe. It's possible. It's possible. To be honest, the biggest thing putting me off going for Son was the idea that I kind of want Gareth Bale in 10 days. Where I've always said you'll have negative bias from me on Spurs, and you probably still will. The emotional pull of that is going to be, if he comes in and he tears it up in that first game, the emotional pull is going to be very difficult to overlook it. And of course, he will be a stunning differential owned by nobody at the moment. So Yeah. Very conscious of that, by the way. Notorious Nerd says KDB or Sterling on a wild card. I'm always going to preference KDB personally. Rhinos Leeds, how stupid is playing internationals? We're all getting blasé about positive tests, but this thing has the potential to hinder the career of a top player. Worrying. Yeah, absolutely spot on. I'm good. As I say, I'm going to hold that question back because we may well literally do a podcast on it on Tuesday. Sheeda says best budget forward under 7 million for Adams. I think the timing is right for Maupay. Would probably be where I'd go short term. Antonio will come back around and Maupay will hold the value for you to then move to Antonio potentially. I think Maupay is a decent shout. Stephen O'Brien, don't understand the outrage on Twitter. Either pay the £15, enjoy the match, or don't pay. FPL Cobbler, would you pay $14.95 for a tactical orgasm? No, I would have streamed Leeds and Man City. I wouldn't have paid for it. Sam Thomas, not sure who to prioritise transferring into my side for this game week, Son or Salah. Sonny boy. FPL Ferrell. James, mate, what's your thoughts on what Redknapp said about Spurs having a title chance this year? I can't see it myself. Would love top four. I'd be extremely happy if Spurs end up finishing fourth this year, honestly. From a position after that Everton game, I'd have said, I don't even think we'll finish fucking top half. I responded to a friend of mine, a Gooner, who tweeted, he was like, go home, mate, to the Harry Redknapp comment. And all I tweeted back to him was, there's a reason why he got sacked. It's a little bit deluded, poor Harry. Tottenham have no chance to win the league this year. None. Flying Dutchie, think it's nice that I can even speak about it as a possibility, though, considering, like I said, after Everton top half would have looked fucking hell. We were so bad. Flying Dutchie, think it is somehow related to no crowd, though. Don't know what's in relation to. Semedo still has to prove, in my honest opinion, have him over Saints currently. Great, good for you. Notorious Nerd, is Semedo worth a punt, especially over Saints? He might be. The interesting one on Wolves is to keep an eye on the left wing back situation, whether it's Markel or the new fellow who's come in, whose name escapes me. Alwaitor, is it? I've forgotten his name. Apologies. But yeah, I'm a little bit indecisive what's going on there. I think if you were looking at Wolves defensively, unless you're on wildcard now, you probably would have already done it, is my expectation. Before West Ham and Fulham, probably. Still, those 3 games coming up could be decent for them offensively and defensively. And arguably, you'd probably say defensively more with Newcastle and Palace at home to come after Leeds. I'd go Saïs at the moment, I would say. Eric Sully says, hey, James, can Adrian or whoever put in as goalkeeper shock and get just clean shits to AB is back? It's an interesting way of putting it all, mate. Can Liverpool get clean sheets with Adrian in goal? Yes, as long as they don't allow shots on target. Tom Hyom says, hey, James, hope you're well. Quick one, Ayling or Dallas for the attacking threat, or a more defensively solid choice than Charlie Taylor? Fucking hell. We're coming up to game week 5 and we still don't know Ayling or Dallas, do we? I think what I've seen so far, I'd probably prefer Dallas now. I've got Ayling. I certainly wouldn't move from one to the other. But yeah, if I was buying one new now, on what I've seen so far, I would possibly lean Dallas. But then when we spoke to Andy, was obviously in the chat at the start, our Leeds correspondent, we said at the start that it'll probably be Dallas short term and then Ayling longer term. So make of that what you will. Joe Finney Badder, thoughts on having these international fixtures? I'm going to skip that, Joe. FPL Cobbler, to be fair, on the boxing point, United Spurs game was over with in about 6 minutes too. 8 minutes, my friend, 8 minutes. Notorious Nerd, who's a better captain pick? Kane or Son versus West Ham, or Salah v Everton? It's probably one of the Spurs boys, I'm afraid. The Merseyside derby is notoriously tight at Goodison, and I expect it to be so again. Spurs West Ham will also probably be tight. Really difficult week for captains, actually. That any of them could score in the game. I wouldn't expect any of them 3 players to go off mad. Peter G, but fights are on Sky, not streamed. I'd pay pay-per-view to watch on Sky, but not stream it. Fair enough. Rhino Leeds, have you ever analysed why your FPL history is so average? Because your footy knowledge and ability to convey it to us is second to none. You said yourself you're good at planning FPL. Yeah. I kind of covered that a bit earlier, mate. Look, I've finished inside the top 200k each season that I've been doing the podcast, and I think it's getting better. Like, genuinely, even look at I've seen a few on Twitter this week where they've got amazing ranks. You look at like their 10-year history, and 4 or 5 years ago, it was like always in the top 5K, and now it's like 50K, 50K. It's getting harder, and it will continue to keep getting harder, by the way. So, plus, I think the other thing for me is, and I know it's not what people want to hear, I don't kind of live and sleep by it. I don't really care enough. I would be more offended by someone saying your podcast is shit or whatever than, oh, you're a shit FPL manager. All right, fine. I can say that. I'm a shit FPL manager. Flying Dutchie, does UK have live radio reports as well? We used to have that in Holland. I prefer to paying for pay-per-view. Yeah, we have radio. Slaughter PFK. James, would you say that with almost completely new and better organised Tottenham, Everton, West Ham, Villa, Leeds, Newcastle and Brighton, even disregarding penalties, there will be fewer clean sheets? I'm not quite sure what the question is there, mate, but I think that clean sheets will be on the way back soon. 3-5, who my Arsenal correspondent is in, says, afternoon, lads and ladesses. Where the fuck's Gunnosaurus, you prick? Flying Dutchie. God, you're not short of a question, are you? We're only 4 games in, so Arsenal Man United might level out. Notorious Nerd, ranking order of best Villa attackers to have. Grealish, Watkins, Barkley. At the moment, I'd be in that order, but it could change. Buenas in, hi, mate. Anita Das, do you think we should keep faith in Ings and Jimenez? Well, I most likely will. I think Jimenez stays for me for probably the 3 games that I've spoken about, unless it becomes very frustrating, which it could do quite quickly, considering he didn't score against Fulham. I haven't ruled out taking a -8 to get Harry Kane for game week 5, if I decide that's what I want to do. If I do, one of them's going to go. So individual basis, but Ings and Jimenez will be consistent as fuck. Colin Con, the £15 is robbery. I pay $30 in Oz, which is £15 a month for my cell phone plan, SIM only, and I get all Premier League matches included. I feel for you guys in the UK. Hear ya. When it says, if you get round to it, my question is, thoughts on early transfers over an international break, injuries, COVID factor. Personally feel we need to be cautious. Many disagree. Discuss. Okay, so individual circumstance. I've already bought Heung-min Son ahead of game week 5. My take on that is, Heung-min Son got no games for South Korea. He's going to training at Tottenham. That's it. Could he get COVID at Tottenham? Yeah, of course he could. But there's a far less risk, isn't there? Put it this way, it rules out the injury problem. Whenever you buy a player on an early transfer, they could all get fucking injured in the week. That can happen to anyone, right? Anyone who bought Alisson last week, oh shit, suddenly Alisson gets injured in training on Saturday and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. So that can happen to any player. So you always know that risk with early transfers. I think for me as well, because I have a strong playing bench, I'm more inclined to make that early move at the moment. But there's a big difference, in my opinion, to buying Heung-min Son early and buying Harry Kane early. So Heung-min Son, no games for South Korea. Great recovery in terms of he's had a lot of games recently. We know he had the tight hamstring. No problem. Calm down. They'll look after him. He won't overwork during this period. He probably would have had a good 3-4 days off, I should imagine. Now he can get into training with Gareth Bale, be sharp for the West Ham game. Harry Kane's got to play Belgium on Sunday, then he's got another game for England on Wednesday, and he will start both. It's a different risk entirely. So I'd said earlier in the discussion about the idea of moving from Che Adams to people like Antonio or Watkins or Maupay because they're not doing anything during this break. That feels safer. Yes, could anybody get COVID at any time? Yeah, it's risk and reward, right? These guys could also get injured over this period as well. I wouldn't buy anybody yet that's playing in internationals, is what I would say. So if I buy Harry Kane, and it means that I'm buying at 10.7 because I've waited an extra 12 days or so rather than buying him at 10.5, so be it. I think that's different. It's different risk involved in buying different players there. Nosbit says, hey, James, non-FPL question. As a Spurs season ticket holder, do you get access to in-house live streams on the home matches as part of the ticket? In Scotland, the home streams are part of the season ticket. Cheers. We don't, I'm afraid, mate. I'll be paying the money with everybody else. Notorious Nerd says, thoughts on David Brooks? Do you see him move to a Premier League club now or in January? I think he's one of the ones that might end up staying. Plus, from a Bournemouth perspective, probably going to let Josh King go. They were adamant when they let Aki go that he'd be the only one. Ramsdale's gone. Callum Wilson's gone. I'll be catching up with Neil Grover for Monday's podcast with Stephen Toomey at Sixth Goal. We'll be talking about Bournemouth Watford a little bit. We're also going to be talking about what it's like as an FPL manager now that their Premier League teams are no longer in the Premier League. But I'll ask these questions to Neil in terms of what he thinks. I suspect Brooks will probably stay. Josh King will sign for a Premier League club. Frodo says, should Ole Gunnar Solskjaer put Pogba in the attic now, James? It's a question for Suj, isn't it? Flying Dutchy, I've ignored some of your questions because there was just so many going on, mate. Pulisic, Werner, double up. Not for me, mate. Pulisic, very much on my radar, though. Bivek says, midfield of De Bruyne, Salah, Grealish, James, and Son. Upgrades. You'll fucking struggle to upgrade from that, mate. Bowder Gems, looks like I need to get Reece James out. Is Saiss really the best option? Tyrone Mings, question. I'd be looking at 4.5. And if you're looking at Tyrone Mings, look at Ezri Konsa, genuinely. Saiss, short term. Okay, probably. There is a little bit of risk on his place in the team. The problem with Reece James is decent if you've got the playing bench to look after it, right? If you haven't got the playing bench, you're looking to target your Braithwaites and your Tyreek Mitchells and stuff, then yeah, you're going to be thinking about moving it on. One way around keeping someone like Reece James is to have a bench that includes the likes of Charlie Taylor or Ezri Konsa and Luke Ayling, Stuart Dallas. And these guys, you can pick them as and when you choose. Yes, you got to pay the extra premium for it. But then hopefully you'll get Reece James at good times. And if he doesn't play, Reece James is a fucking baller. He should be in that Chelsea team. And I suspect he will make that position his own. I'm not sure that I would run away from it just yet, actually. Anita Das, if I already have James, should I bring in DCL right now or wait a few weeks? That should definitely wait till fucking after the internationals. And I wouldn't force it before Liverpool. Lewis Whitson says, hi James, what's your thoughts on Laporte as an asset? Might just be a nostalgic pick, but after he was a double game week hero a few years back, yeah, wait for that double game week, Lewis. The problem with City is you always watch games, you think, oh, they ain't going to concede today, and then they still do. That's the problem. But a close eye on him and Diaz, definitely. Notorious Nerd, thoughts on Ozil offering to play Gunnersaur's salary in Arsenal, omitting him from their Europa League squad. So, we've all had a good giggle about it. Look, the fact that Ozil's offered to pay his wages is really nice and genuine. He also could have done it privately. You don't have to do that sort of thing public. He's tried to mug his own club off in the process. We know what he's tried to do here. Is the offer very nice? Yes, of course it's very nice. He's offered to cover this man's salary for a whole year. Right? It's the equivalent of me paying someone 50 quid for a fucking year. I'm not joking, right? It's not a big deal. Just go and donate someone 50 quid to charity. That's basically what Ozil's offering to do. So, yeah, it's nice. I mean, for a PR point of view, it's an absolute nightmare for Arsenal. The fact that he's not even in the Europa League squad, fucking hell. I would imagine there's probably talks ongoing to try and terminate his contract, and it will cost Arsenal a fortune. If you're not going to pay him in Europa League, what's the point? They didn't play him in the Carabao Cup. So clearly there is no want to have him as a part of that. Get him out. Get him out of the club, honestly. He's not helping anybody. It can't be. Or is Arteta going to integrate him back in? I can't see it, personally. Arsenal be better off without. I don't know if they can try and get him out to America or something like that. If there's any way of trying to recoup anything from him, free transfer, definitely just let him go. Let him go. I don't think I should necessarily belittle the fact he's offered to pay the guy's salary, but you get the point of what I'm saying. It's not costing him nothing. And he's done it, in my opinion, to fucking stick a middle finger up to Arsenal. That's my opinion. Gavinho99 said, when's the deadline to use your first wild card? That is game weeks before game week 16. Before game week 16? I mean, it's before game week 16. Tommy Tom, would you prefer 30 more points or 1 million extra squad value at this point in the season? Oh, that's a good question. Probably prefer the 30 more points considering my rank at the moment. Very good question. Very good question. I think I'd probably the points, but that's personal circumstance, Tommy. If I was in a different position, I might have thought differently about that. I'd probably take the points. Good question, though. Nice balance. Perlo's Pen, do you mind Jimenez to more players an enabling move? I don't at all, mate. It might be the sort of thing that I'm considering to get Harry in, for example. Flying Dushy, you just do it to support content creators because we enjoy the vids. Cheers, mate. That's better. ABJ, wildcard activated. Essential players. No one's essential, mate. Ollie, Johnny, Savizzo, Liverpool defence to give return in the long run. Yeah, you should know my opinion by now. Yes. Ali Hewitt, I replaced Werner with Gabriel Jesus. Was that mental? Christ, when did you do it? I wouldn't say mental. Or have you done it now for game week 5? What are you rushing for? What are you rushing for? Do you know that he's fit? Definitely. We think he'll be back for game week 5. Colin Khan, is Bale a trap? He's not a trap. You're not buying him now, are you sure? If he starts game week 6, 3 good games and terrible run game week 9 to game week 15, I would suggest with Gareth Bale, fixture proof. Bivek says Jimenez, Reece James and Foden out for Maupay, Grealish and Chilwell for game week 5. -4, good move. Well, see how you feel about it in 7 days and then consider it would be my advice. If you're asking questions in now, guys, I probably won't get to you. I will wrap this up in about 10 minutes. Prisish says, hi, James. Great to see you live, even without a game week this weekend. Do you feel that Bowen will match Antonio's output over the next 6 to 8 game weeks? Thanks for sharing your opinion. Probably not, generally speaking, but capable of it. I mean, look, in the restart period, me and Sid basically thought Bowen was a better shout than Antonio, right? So we got that completely wrong. So it could be again. I do like Jared Bowen. He's a very good player. Javinho 99 says Captain Kane or Son v West Ham or avoid. I think captaincy for game week 5 is really, really difficult. That's why I'm probably going to lean on the consistency of De Bruyne again, personally. If it's a choice between Kane or Son for that particular fixture, I would go Harry Kane. Lloyd and O'Neill, which combination of Kane and Son and Bale you think will be the best? The combination of all 3 of them will work best for Tottenham. If you're saying 2 for your FPL team, right now, just look at Kane and Son. And then you can always go to Gareth. Balder says, looks like I need to get Reece James out. I think we've already done that one, mate. Savanch, says, what are your thoughts on Pulisic? Should have bring him in on my wild card. Love that as a punt. Don't rush it. His price is locked at the moment. Keep an eye on FPL statistics and that over the next week or so. He'll probably start next game week at 8.3. I love it as a wild card punt, genuinely. It's not beyond reason if I get good signs this time next week that I might even buy him myself. Joe says, if international fixtures wins the poll vote, should look at what Ajax have done, refusing some players to leave as they would have to quarantine on return and miss League and Champions League games. Thanks for pointing that out, Joe, because I didn't know that. Please remind me of that. You're welcome, Bruno. No problem. Rhinos leads. Footy formations are cyclical. Do you think the goal glut will see the end of rampaging wingbacks as managers try to stop the damage? No. Look how much Tottenham have improved since he allowed both fullbacks to go forward and gave the 3 attacking players less responsibility defensively. I'm talking about Mourinho. He's done things very well tactically over the last 3 weeks or so. So why change? If Tottenham analyse it and go, look, defensively, we're not great, right? But fucking firepower in that front 3 now. We'll go for it. We're outscored it. Genuinely, Mourinho's a manager and minimises risk, right? I think he realises the risk defensively has become too great. And the firepower of the front men can do damage. We have to go for it. The key is the holding midfield players, which is why Sissoko is probably a better choice than Winks at the moment to partner Højbjerg. I thought Sissoko was great at Old Trafford. He smells danger, which is strange for someone who spent most of his career as an attacking player. It just smells danger so much better. So I think what you'll probably get is teams probably sitting off a few more yards. Pitches looking a little bit bigger. You might see more surrendering of possession in upcoming games, etc. But I'm convinced that we'll get back to a norm or more like normal in upcoming weeks. Johannes says, hello, James. Any players to consider from new signings? Yes. Gareth Bale, mate. Ryan Walker, do you think COVID will impact enough to cancel Premier League games, especially with all the international games at the moment? No, Premier League games shouldn't be under threat, Ryan. The belief is, and no one's actually had it confirmed, but the belief is that as long as a Premier League club has 14 players that can participate, game goes on. That's the belief at the moment. So you'd probably need club with probably 8+ cases minimum at the moment for a Premier League game to be called off, I believe. Stephen Starfield, COVID is a hoax and a scam. Good for you, Stephen. What a fucking superstar you are, mate. Bivek says, defense of Saiss, Lamptey, Semedo, Coleman and Chilwell. Upgrades for Coleman, Alex Telles, Reguilon, Bellerin, Cresswell or Nori. New left back at Wolves. So it's too much going on there, Bivek. Ask me again next week, mate. It's a week away. Just chill your brain, mate. Santosh says, hello, James. Who would you prefer, Kane and Grealish or KDB and Watkins? Ooh. Yeah. I can't live without KDB personally. It's a KDB and Watkins. Good question. Reese Smith, what week you plan to wildcard? 16, Reese. Javinho, no, I'm not going to cover wildcard. It's really bad for audio for people, I'm afraid. Perlo's Pen, as a Reading fan, I've been paying 10 quid to watch my team all season. Was a matter of time before it came to the Prem. Daniel Jarman, Son Maupay or Kane Trossard? Son Maupay for me. I think it's a combination. Trossard's going to be one of them players who's brilliant but never returns, right? Isn't he? Oscar Featherstone says on wildcard of DCL and Kane up top, best long-term third striker for under 6.57. Best long-term, in my opinion, is Mikel Antonio. But you might want to put, if you're on the wild card, put someone else in there as a placeholder for 3 game weeks, I'd suggest. And I'd probably just about go Maupay. Sham says, you missed my question, James. Sorry, mate, if I missed that. If Spurs win the league this year, will you do a YouTube live stream in your pants? Nobody wants to see that. I genuinely didn't see that question. I would have answered it. No, I wouldn't do it because nobody wants to see that. Would I put myself out there? Yeah, I mean, you're probably more likely to get like a 1-minute video of me running down the street in my boxers. I don't think anybody actually wants to watch a stream with me with my kit off. I'm pretty confident no one wants to see that. So, but I mean, yeah, look, if Spurs win the league, I mean, if I'm drunk enough, mate, nothing's off limits. And if Spurs won the league, I would drink non-stop for about 2 weeks. It wouldn't be no podcast, or there would, but I'd be drinking. I'd tell Serge I'm drinking at fucking work. I don't give a fuck. I would be non-stop for a couple of weeks. Javinho 99 says Højbjerg seems like Jose's new Matic, great signing. It was bad in the Everton game, right? And if you think of the opposition we've played, he's not really had the challenges. The challenge in terms of around him would have been Fernandes, who obviously only played the 45 minutes and didn't play well. There are challenges that probably won't come up in the next 4 game weeks other than Brighton. Trossard will be a challenge for him. Where he should shine again. After that, you know, I want to see how he plays against Man City when De Bruyne's driving into those zones. Then I'll really know if I've got a really good player or not, probably after game week 9. Savanch says, all right then, wildcard midfield, Grealish, Salah, KDB, Pulisic, Son. Looks fucking great, mate. Savanch says, West Ham defender to consider. I mean, Masuaku, to be honest. It's all right at the moment. I think he stays in that system at the moment till at least the Fulham game. But are you going to pick him in these upcoming games? Sham, you may want to see that, but no one else does. So Tosh says, with PVA back in training, do you think he'll start straight ahead of Mitchell? I think probably yes. I would think the fact that it's come off the back of a 4-0 feels like the right time to change it as well. So I think probably yes. And I'll finish with Oscar Featherstone. Do you think it's a good idea to get ahead of Pulisic bandwagon, even though with the risk of Lampard easing him into the team? Next Thursday's clash, the correspondence features at Rotation FPL. Our Chelsea correspondent, we will ask these questions, or I certainly will, in detail. I think Pulisic will go straight back in. That's my general opinion. He's very much on my radar. Ted could convince me to buy him on that podcast next Thursday. So one to keep an eye out for. Content coming up next week. Bonus COTC on Monday, as I said, Neil Groveland's 6th goal representing Bournemouth and Watford. Yes, I know they're not Premier League teams. Get a catch up on them. We'll talk about the assets that have left their clubs as potential FPL assets and the ones that still might, like, for example, David Brooks, Josh King, Ismail Assar, for example. Craig Dawson, if you're a West Ham fan. And we'll ask them what life's now like for them as FPL managers with their team no longer in the team? Has it changed their output and their thinking to the way they play the game? Interested to discuss that. Tuesday will be People's Poll Rewind. I've discussed the 3 topics that will go out probably on poll on Monday. Wednesday, another big Sky podcast ahead of obviously the overhaul period. Thursday's Clash Correspondence, Chelsea, Southampton, rotation FPL Gaffer. I'll be back doing this most likely 3 o'clock next Friday UK time, and then Deadline Stream will return Saturday 10 a.m. on the 17th as well. Patrons, loads coming up for you as well. Your differential show will drop for you in about 10 minutes for those who are on the YouTube video at the moment. Monday, we'll have your Q&A. Tuesday, deep look at Tottenham and West Ham, preview of the Planet FPL derby. Wednesday, bonus Sky podcast for you guys. Thursday, quiz, topic to be confirmed. Friday, differential show again. If you want to support us on Patreon, it's kind of the start of the month. Now's a really good time. You guys are feeding me at the moment, so those who are supporting, I'm always extremely grateful. Head to patreon.com/Planet FPL or something very, very similar, and you'll see what's on offer. But intermediate tiers, 22 additional podcasts to summarize this month. Have a great weekend, everybody. Chill out, watch a bit of international football, spend some time with the family, relax your FPL minds. There's not going to be a lot in terms of price changes over the next 4 or 5 days. I recommend if you're considering players that are on international duty, you should wait. Have a great weekend, everyone. Speak soon. And for the benefit of those on the audio, cue music, please, man child.